Hi there. You've already seen what I'm planning to do in the pantry garden. So now let's talk a little bit about my home garden. So basically, if you live in New Jersey, then you know these struggles. The soil is primarily clay. There's a lot of rocks in it, things like that. So I have that working against me. And I also have a very persistent groundhog. I put up a new fence last year to keep the deer out. Was successful with the deer, but and that's this outline that you see here is my deer fencing. This back fence is actually an existing picket fence. It's pretty tall. It's a tall wooden fence, not picket. So it's a tall wooden fence. So basically, I just added fencing here using T-posts and like netted fencing. Very effective for keeping the deer out, but the groundhogs continue to find a way in. And he has very expensive and refined tastes. My friendly groundhog. I'm just gonna turn this a little bit there we go for the glare. So I'm doing a few things differently this year than I did last year. So I'm keeping this as like my tomato row. So all of my tomatoes are gonna go here. Last year I had ground cherries in the back, and it was really like I just didn't think that through because ground cherries stay low to the ground. Like they're wide, but they stay low to the ground. So they were behind all the tomatoes. So I still got pretty good production, but they were shaded by these gigantic tomatoes all season long. So I'm really curious if I move them up front where they're going to get more sunshine, I should get even more production. And I'm also going to be experimenting this year because even though I don't necessarily eat these things, the groundhog doesn't eat these things either. So I'm kind of like okay with growing things just because they won't get eaten by the groundhog, whose name is Jack. We can just call him Jack from now on. So I'm adding a purple tomatillo here. He didn't touch the ground cherries. So I'm hoping that the same goes for the tomatillo because they're from a similar family. Like if you look at these, if they're called like pineapple tomatillo, or ground cherries or all these different things. So I'm going to try a purple tomatillo as one of these three plants. Now I already have an archway that goes over the entrance of my garden, and these say melon. They didn't have anything that represented the type of thing I'm growing here, but they're called cucamelons, and they're these like Mexican sour gherkins or something. They look so cute. I saw a lot of people growing them. They're like these little tiny things that you just pop them in your mouth, and hopefully they're delicious because I'm growing them this year. And I purchased seeds from two different seed vendors. So I'm probably going to try one here and one here. So that's that. Last year I put artichokes in the front here. I don't know if they're going to come back. They are a perennial, but I didn't mulch them. So I don't know if they're going to come back or not. This was a mild winter, but I don't really know how sensitive they are. I got nothing from them. They were really cool, and the groundhog didn't eat them, but I didn't get anything from them. So depending on what comes back, I'm going to add cardoon, which is like an artichoke, but you're not eating that flower head thing, the bud. You're eating the stalks. So I think that'll be interesting too. So let's see here. I'm trying okra at home because I don't know if the groundhog will eat it. And I have a lot of different okra to try out. So one thing that I did differently this year is I purchased these 4x4 square raised beds. I thought they'd be here by now. They got a little delayed. So I'm just waiting for them to see if they're good or not. But I got a pack of 3 on Amazon for like $120. And normally any kind of raised beds are a lot more expensive than that. So I figured I'd order them and give them a try. And if they're terrible, I wonder if I can return them to Kohl's. So I don't know if Kohl's would probably hate me if I drag those in, but we'll see. Let's start with, do we like them? So that's what these 4 structures here are. I'm still kind of playing around with what I want to put in these. So as you can see, this one around the outer thing is onions. Those are my bunching onions. And then in the center, I have radishes. But if you look at this, it's a lot. It's a lot, 56 radishes. So what I'm probably going to be doing is doing some succession sowing, maybe some lettuce. But the groundhog, see, my problem is the groundhog loves radish tops and he loves lettuce. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything in here, but I'm kind of putting up this green onion perimeter. So inside I'm doing some succession sowing on bunching onions, and then I'll probably also do some direct sowing, because even this is 11 plants, 7 plants, 11 plants, 7 plants. So that's, that's like 40 plants, and I've got 4 containers started, which I'll show you in another video. But so I'm not sure how that's going to actually work out. Then over here I've got shallots, which again, I'm hoping that he doesn't like these oniony things. So I'm going to put shallots in here, and then I'm going to try some bush beans in the middle. Again, he loves bush beans. So he loves beans of any kind. So I don't know if that's going to work out. Over here I've got eggplant. I didn't put eggplant in my garden last year, so I don't know how Jack feels about it. I personally don't love it, but I did find one recipe that calls for eggplant. So the recipe is like eggplant and fennel, so I might also grow some fennel. I don't currently have a spot for it. And then I've got potatoes in the back. I wasn't going to do potatoes, but I'm really good at sprouting potatoes on my countertop. So I figure I might as well just roll with it and grow some potatoes. All right, so over here is another, so this is last year's where I put my pickling cucumbers, and I have this trellis thing that goes here. I don't know why he didn't eat the pickling cucumber plants. He ate every other type of squash and, all those types of plants. He ate everything else. He didn't eat the pickling cucumber. So I'm not really sure why, but I'm going to be having those again, the pickling cucumbers. I loved making pickles from them. I actually made way too many pickles from them. So we'll see. We'll touch real quick on the tomatoes. I have a ton of tomato varieties to play around with this year. So as you can see here, I've got 4, 4, 4, and 4 in terms of my number of plants. These are like cherry tomatoes, and these are larger tomatoes. So last year I had a row down the fence here, which was pretty cool because I had like a giant cherry tomato in the corner. But I'm going to try to do these 4 rows. I'm trying something different. I'm doing the same thing at home with trussing them up on furring strips, single stemming them up furring strips in the MI Gardener method. I used extra T-posts that I had left over from building the fence last year, and I think they were 7 foot T-posts. They were either 6 or 7 foot T-posts, and they were still taller than that. So I'm gonna get the 8-foot furring strips, hammer those in, cross my fingers and hope for the best, because they got really tall last year. Okay, so these are my containers that I have. I have a lot of them. I have some large containers that I've done tomatoes in. I have window boxes. I have herbs. I don't even think all of these circles represent all of the containers that I actually have. I also have like 2 or 3 grow bags. I have a lot of containers. So last year I had tomatoes in my deck, my big containers on my deck. But for some reason, Jack messed with those, and it might not have been Jack. It might have been a different creature, but those plants got demolished, and I tried putting cages around them, and nothing really worked. So I had peppers as well, and the peppers nobody messed with. So I'm going to be putting peppers in these containers, and I personally love sweet peppers, but I have some other ones that I want to play around with and just see, how well they grow, how productive they are. Kind of using my home garden as an experiment for what to plant in the pantry garden next year. So So I'm going to be playing around with tomato varieties. I'm going to be playing around with pepper varieties. And then if you look closely, I've got, I have a rosemary plant. I don't know if it survived the winter. I'm going to have chives. I usually have lavender. And then these are all just different ones that I grow from seed. And then I have an oregano plant. We'll see. Thyme, I don't know if it came back. It'll come back. I always have basil. I think I'm going to do basil in a window box. Or I have this set of three containers. So I'm going to do that. I'm toying with the idea of putting fennel in a window box. Jack ate the fennel last year. And same with my Swiss chard. Any brassica, kale, Swiss chard, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, all that stuff. He ate it. He loved the baby greens. It was very frustrating. So this is what I'm looking at for these. So if anybody's got any tips for foods that groundhogs don't like, or ways of getting rid of groundhogs, or keeping them out of the garden, I'm all ears. In case you're wondering, I don't have the bottom of the fence buried, but I do have it held down with large rocks around this and around here. And then this edge wasn't an issue last summer, but I'm going to go ahead and put large things around the edge here. And along the bottom of this fence, I have things stuck in the ground, rebar and T-bar and T-posts stuck in the ground at intervals, so he can't dig under that fence, because that was a problem. Like I said, he's very persistent. So I did all of those things and then learned that groundhogs can climb. So if you didn't know that little piece of trivia, you're welcome. I've never seen him in the garden personally, but I know he's been out there. If the worst case scenario right now is if I can't keep him out, I'm just gonna capitalize on him like that other guy who was having problems, like Chunk the groundhog. I mean, right? What other choice would I have? So thanks for joining me for my garden tour. If you see anything here that maybe I could do differently or add in or anything like that, I'm all ears. I'm always learning. And if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe. There's going to just be continuously new videos from what I've been doing in the garden tours, when I learn something new and I'm trying it, all these different things. So if you want to be along for that journey, make sure you subscribe and leave me a comment. Say hi. Tell me what you liked about this video, what you didn't like about this video, but maybe be nice. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.